confirm. So this is from May 26th, 2022. You can find this on his blog. It is titled The Apocalypse. Again, we don't need to do fear mongering. It's just an awareness. I think a lot of times the things that we get through, we try to understand them in a physical way, and it's not always going to translate that way. So we don't need to be in fear of this. This is just really interesting information. So it's titled The Apocalypse, and he writes, as hinted in the previous update, we are at the turning point of several cosmic cycles. First, there is the completion of the great cosmic cycle, which lasted over 13 billion years. This universe is right now at the turning point from expansion into contraction. This is a unique moment when the source can intervene directly into the creation and dissolve the primary anomaly and all evil related to it. This is the real reason why all darkness will soon disappear. The moment of direct intervention is called the apocalypse. Now he says this translates to the revelation in the English language. So that's also where we get revelations from in the Bible, right? This is fascinating stuff. And he said, this moment of direct intervention is called the apocalypse and is quite accurately described in a famous 2,000-year-old version of the Bible. He puts a link there if you would like to read further about that. He then says, this moment can also be called the cosmic reversal. When I read that, I'm just going to stop there. When I read that, my brain was just like on fire with downloads, because how this being posted that the pole started reversing and jumped back. I was like, this makes sense. And this to me ties in directly with Uranus going direct on January 22nd. Because again, remember, Uranus is sudden shifts. Uranus would be the archetype of revelation, would be the archetype of the apocalypse. It is sudden catalysmic events in personal and collective experiences. In Taurus, Taurus rules the earth. Okay, let's move on. I hope you guys are as excited about this as I am. Okay. This moment can also be called the cosmic reversal, and scientists are beginning to understand that it will not happen billions of years from now, but much sooner. He then puts a link to an explanation about an article from space.com, which is referencing how the universe is stopping expansion and now coming back into contraction. Now, there's a million ways we could interpret that, right? We know that Mom has said we've been in this battle, if you will, of the dark and the light for about 19 billion years. We don't know previous to that how long we stayed in the full light spectrum, when there was no darkness, there was no fallout, there was no cosmic wars, none of that. So it is as if we've gone as far as we can possibly go with this experiment. Remember, we are the micro to the macro. We are the microcosm to the macrocosm. What has occurred here on Earth is the microcosm to what has occurred on the macrocosm. All is according to divine plan. So as we're reaching the tipping point, that's what the tipping point means. It means you've gone as far as you can go in this experiment of duality and polarity. And now you have to come back to the center. That's the contraction. The expansion is when you, basically this experiment here that was done was how far were we going to go before we come back to the heart, before we come back to source. We've reached the tipping point. The tipping point is when you've reached the absolute edge of duality, the absolute extremes of darkness and polarity. And then you've got to come back to the center point. This is why a lot of people call it the merging of dark and light. It's not really. Dark, and it is, into the extent that what darkness actually represents, pure darkness, is the primordial feminine energy. It is the unlimited possibilities. It is the empty void matter of pure unlimited creation potential. That is what true darkness means. Darkness as we know it is what Cobra is referring to as the primary anomaly. The primary anomaly was the separation of Jehovah from unity consciousness. He was an anomaly. He removed himself from creation and took a whole bunch of things with him. We've reached the edge. We can't go any more into duality and darkness and polarity than we've already gone. So now we're contracting. But this made sense in my heart of the land masses coming back together. We've gone as far apart as we can possibly go. It also made sense of how much separation we've had from Source, from Mother and Father, from our galactic brothers and sisters. We've been in isolation and quarantine here on Earth for 27,000 years so that we didn't implode the rest of the freaking universe. We've gone as far apart as we can go. Now we come back together, meaning we rejoin creation, we rejoin our galactic society. Everyone comes back together. It is the reunion, the cosmic reunion. And this is why Mom said, once Earth ascends, the whole of creation ascends.